recently played the often ignored DS version of Sonic Colors, and I have to say, I recommend it pretty highly, both to fans of Sonic Colors and to fans of 2D Sonic alike. I was expecting some watered down 2D version of the same game, but it really isn't those things. It was essentially the third Sonic Rush game and even iterates on the previous ones. So if you're a fan of those and always wish they made a third one, nice surprise for you. It uses the same engine, has all new levels, has similar boss fights to the Rush games, and just feels like those games did. Maybe even feels better. The adventure begins similarly enough to the Wii version. In fact, with the exact same cutscene. Except the Wii version didn't begin in a cutscene, it began in a level, which was a big deal at the time, whatever. From there, we get into the gameplay with some boosting and wisp power-ups. If you're familiar with the Wii version, this one actually adds 2 new wisp power-ups into the mix. First is Red Burst. You charge up, you release the flames, they launch you skyward, and you can destroy all enemies on screen when fully charged up. This wisp even made it into the 3DS version of Sonic Generations, and that game's Tropical Resort is based on the DS version, making this a rare handheld game that was actually acknowledged in Generations. I guess they knew it was good and they were proud of it, so you know. As a side note, I wish they did that more. I would have loved to have seen Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush in Generations, which is what I figured the 3DS version was going to be when they announced it, but oh well. Second up, we have the Violet Void Wisp. These are comparable to Frenzy, consuming everything they come into contact with, but it can fly and is better suited to moving in 2D. I didn't think I'd be saying this, but after finishing the game and trying it out several times, I think I prefer Void over Frenzy. Lava is hot, grass is green, music is awesome in Sonic games. The renditions of the already good, great, awesome, outstanding, amazing music is somehow done even better here in several cases. Imagine making the music lower tech and somehow improving it. It's like the Game Boy version of Sticker Bush Symphony. Go listen to it if you haven't. I'll tell you another thing that's better too. The Chaos Emeralds. You beat a stage with 50 rings, you go to a special stage, you get a Chaos Emerald. As it should be. Finally. This does the concept so much better than Sonic Advance and Sonic Colors Wii at the same time. The special stage itself is sublime too. It's this half-pipe Blue Spheres hybrid that controls surprisingly precise with the touchscreen. I found myself getting really into improving at it and pulling off moves that wouldn't be possible with an analog stick. If the song in the special stage sounds familiar but you can't quite place it, I was the exact same way. Of all things, it's the 2-player Grand Metropolis theme from Sonic Heroes. Great multiplayer in that game, by the way. I'm recommending you go check out a lot of other things that aren't this game in this one. I just wish it wasn't so much work to unlock the multiplayer in Sonic Heroes. The story of Sonic Colors DS was another aspect that surprised me. Given that Sonic Colors on Wii has a reputation for simplifying things, not having weird gimmicks, and aggressively trimming the fat, the DS version didn't go in that direction at all. It includes lots of characters. Even rarely seen ones like Cream and Silver are involved in this. There's kind of a lot of character moments and story, but sadly the copyright law line couldn't make it in. Sonic's friends come with special missions that are not in the Wii version either. They're simple enough, like collecting stuff under a time limit, or beating a level under a time limit, or collecting enough rings under a time limit. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm terrible at these missions. I will try my hardest, sometimes even needing like 10 tries on a mission to get a feel for the route, think I'm doing a good job on my successful run, and still get a D rank. It feels like the difference between a D rank and an S is just a couple of seconds. Huh, guess that's why it's on the DS. Even in normal stages, I'll run super fast through a level, get like 300 freaking rings, and still not get close to an S. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. For clearing those missions, oh boy, viewing concept art on a Nintendo DS! On that note, let's get into my complaints, because I do have a few. Firstly, it wouldn't be a Dimps game without some weird light 3D elements that have an awkward perspective. Those sections were not very fun. As for the power-ups, most of them weren't great, but Drill didn't really make it out unscathed. It was one of my favorite wisps on the Wii, especially in Aquarium Park, and they ruined it here. It's downright uncontrollable with a D-pad, and I could not get used to it. This thing cost me a ton of ranks, and I had no interest in trying those levels again. It was painful just how hard it was to hit your mark with it. Yeah, that's about all the negativity that I could say about it. It was just a good game. After we made it through all the different worlds, we get into the end game, which I don't want to spoil for you. I'll just say that the final boss is creative and fun. A change that I loved to this part of the game is that Tails wants to help Sonic for the final boss fight. Sonic says no, and then Tails just agrees to go home and walks off before the fight starts. After finishing it all, you get a special surprise for collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Like the endgame, I'm not gonna cover what it is, and not just because I couldn't do it, but because I think it's pretty neat and more worth your time than the Wii version's reward for 100%. Ironically, a different reward means that you can't use Supersonic in normal levels of the 2D game when the 3D one did it just fine. These two versions really are opposites in many ways. So there's a good Sonic game that you might not have tried. I didn't expect to like this so much when I started it out. This might be the least known of my outstanding obligations because I think I only promised it one time in a Facebook post over a decade ago, but I remembered it and I was so glad I did. Going forward, I'm gonna be pretty fast and free with recommending this one to people as an overlooked gem. Add this to the pile of great portable Sonic games that Sega ignores for no good reason. Thankfully, it's still pretty cheap and easy to find on the secondhand market. Check it out if you see it.